everybody. This is Keith Gleason, host of Indie Comics Relay and creator of the Mighty Mascots, back with another video for selling at Comic Cons. So on this video, I thought I'd talk a little bit about selling techniques, or not even, or just even marketing a little bit at your table. A lot of people have trouble, especially artists and writers. Sometimes, we're a little bit on the introverted side. I know I am a little bit, even though you can't tell because I have diarrhea of the mouth on right now. But I did a little bit of like stand-up comedy back in the day, and that kind of helped me get out of my shell a little bit, um, so the way I usually, I'll just talk about like my technique a little bit. When I set up at Comic Cons, the one thing I try to do, you know, since I've been setting up is I try to come in with positivity. I think if you're positive and you're happy to see people, and no, and trust me, I understand that some of this is hard for people too, but I have gotten more, more success. Just being positive, saying hi to everybody that walks by. I'm not a fan of there's a lot of people that do sell at shows that are a little bit pushy, like a used car salesman, and I find that scares away a lot of people, or it works. Sometimes they'll buy something, but I don't know if it necessarily brings back a repeat customer. That could be something to play with if you haven't. I don't know. I mean, I don't recommend that style, but whatever works best for you as a creator that you're comfortable with. So my technique, I usually, like, when people come up to me at shows, hey man, how you doing? Hey, how's it going? You enjoying the show? I tend to talk to them like, like, just kind of wait and see what, let them look and breathe a little bit at the table before I started, hitting them up with all the pitches and stuff. Because normally I'm vending with my wife, and my wife has some of her sculptures and artwork at the table as well. So sometimes they're just interested in that. So I kind of just give them a minute to take a look around, and then, I'll just kind of ask them, hey, so are you a comic book reader? Do you like comics? And if they say yes, then I usually kind of point them to my comic book, and I'll say, like, I have the Mighty Mascots now. So if I'm pitching to you, what I would say was like, oh yeah, you may want to check out my new book, Mighty Mascots. I got 6 issues. It's basically about, a group of serial mascots. They were brought to life by a 3D printing accident, and they become a superhero team and fight for justice. And usually people get a little chuckle after the 3D printing part. And then I kind of tell them, it's my love letter to Saturday morning cartoons and, superhero comics of the 80s. I'm if you see me on other shows, that's how I kind of promote the book, but that's how I do it in person as well. And then I also let them know, you can get all 6 issues for $10. My publisher prints on newsprint, so we offer, books at a reasonable price, and that almost, I'd say 90% of the time will sell all 6 issues. People don't even think about it. They're getting 6 issues for $10. It's the best deal in the place if you think about it. And often they'll take, if they're still mulling it around, I ask them, pick it up, take a look at it, and sometimes that helps as well, because someone's taking a look at the book. It kind of gives you that, like, they touch it, they feel it, they look at it, they smell it. It's newsprint, right? So it smells nice. And all that stuff kind of clicks together to sell the book, So that's what I would recommend too. If you're going to sell, come up with a small little, try to take your book, whittle it down to like a 1 or 2 sentence promo. Like if you were given like 2 minutes to try to sell it to somebody in Hollywood or something, think of like that, think along those lines. And then if the person reacts to it and you get a positive reaction to it, go into it a little more, and have them pick it up, have them page through it, And I'd say the other end of it, you know, half the time people are not going to buy it. They'll look through it. It may not click for them, but that's okay. Just let them. I always, if they look at it and they put it back and they're like, hey, it's not my thing. I'm into horror books or whatever. And it's like, hey, no problem, man. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Enjoy the show. And they walk away. And then sometimes I'll even talk to them about something completely different. If they're wearing a T-shirt for some movie I just saw or something like that, I'll talk to them about the movie. I find that if you give people 5 minutes of your time, you're nice, and maybe you're not even talking about your book at all. Half the time people do remember that, and they, hey, I like this creator. And sometimes I've had people, we often hear as creators like, oh, I'm here all weekend. Maybe I'll circle back on Sunday and check this out, or I have very little money. And most of the time they don't. But there's always, I'd say, out of 1 out of 10 persons will come back just because I was nice to them and we just had a moment. So think about that. Think about just being nice, being positive. If you send out positive vibes, you get it back. You know what I mean? So just definitely think about that. So that's how I do it. One thing I would suggest, if you can do it, sometimes you got to check things, but stay off your cell phones as much as possible. Always be ready to, stand up if somebody walks by or that's close to the table and is checking your stuff out. Be ready to jump up and say, hey man, how you doing? Or how's it going? I know that's a little tough if you're an artist or a penciler and you're kind of doing commissions on the spot. I'm not really. I do draw a little bit, but I hardly do commissions or anything like that at shows. Sometimes I'm drawing, or sometimes I have my laptop with me and I'm doing lettering. While I'm there. But if someone comes by, I kind of put it to the side and I try to jump up and say, hey man, how you doing? So think about that kind of stuff. I think it helps if you're able to do, multitask, you're kind of like, and you got an eye out for somebody coming, um, and the other thing I wanted to talk about too, if you're selling a comic book at the shows, I would look to do a little bit of tie-in merchandise. For example, like my book Mighty Mascots is about cereal mascots, so I tend to do a lot of small fun things that are like cereal based. Like I have the Mighty Mascot cereal box collector case. I have small little stickers. I have wax packs. I have a company that I get soda from that's down in Connecticut. They do special labels. So I had a label made up of my drink mascot from the team. So I often go down there and pick up a case and I sell those at shows. Yeah, that's what you got to think of. Think about, you have your comic, but then you have all this other merch that kind of enhances the comic. Another example is Johnny C, who does the show with me. He has a book called Surrounded by Death, which is a zombie book set in a mall. And in the mall, all the main characters are huddled up into this coffee shop, and he went out and partnered with a coffee company and came up with his own blend, for coffee, basically for his convention, or for his comic, I mean. And often at shows he'll sell coffee with the comic book. He's got a little cool thing going. He sets up a little Starbucks thing at the convention, and he'll often ask people, they can get a cup of coffee for free with the purchase of the comic, or it's like a $3 donation to get a cup of coffee. And then he also has bags of coffee for sale, but he also has a little sticker on it saying, hey, this is from this comic, Surrounded by Death. So it's little things like that, like thinking outside the box besides your normal and you want to have art prints, obviously. You want to have things like that. And then I know everyone's on a budget. So, think about getting things here and there. You know what I mean? There's so many conventions every year. Maybe shoot for getting one item on your table every year or something like that. So think about little things like that. And then I also wanted to show you guys one of my typical setups that I think is kind of fun. I used to do this setup for when I only had a couple of books to sell. Now I have too many, so I have to have a bigger shelf, to fit everything, because when I go to shows now, I try to get all my books out there, so, but I had at one time, only a handful of books, like I think 3 or 4, for a while in the early days. And I used to get you can get these shelves from Staples. They look like a pamphlet shelf. They're like big like this. So I used to have 4 or 5 of these on the table. But what I did on the front is I printed out this. Check this out. So I printed out colors here. I have a rating for parents. This was for my book called Swamp Tale. So I have a G rating here, all ages. And then right here, I printed out a synopsis of the book. It says, what does it say? 3 miles south of parts unknown live the creatures of the bog swamp, and these are their swamp tales. Join Warty, Bucky, Slither, and Webbs as their adventures are chronicled in this fun and family-friendly comic strip. So this is my comic strip I used to do called Swamp Tales. But now this isn't all of the setup. The last piece of it, and I think I got this from a guy at Heroes Con 5 years ago, and I thought it was really a brilliant idea for marketing your book. So if you think of most of the fans that go to shows are, I'd say, depends on the show, but I'd say maybe a safe guesstimate is about 70% of them probably aren't into comics at all, but they are into other things like anime, TV shows, movies, you name it, cosplay or whatever. So I had this made up, and I thought that, if you like Peanuts, DuckTales, or Garfield, try this title. And I went a little further and just had, I took a lot of the logos from these properties. But what this does is someone reads it and you're like, oh, well, if I like that stuff, I may like this book. Excuse me. And so it kind of helps you sell the book without having to, go into your whole pitch, some of the times, because people sometimes will read it. I've had parents, look it over and say, oh, hey, Tommy, you like DuckTales? You want to check this book out? And I've sold books because of that. This is another one that I had. This one was for my book Hero Envy. If you like Clerks, Community, and Rick and Morty, try this title. So Hero Envy is my comedy book. It's basically I always pitch it. And so sometimes people walk away because of this pitch, but I always pitch it as it's if you like, if it's like Big Bang Theory, but if Big Bang Theory was actually funny. So people either laugh at that or they're mad because they actually like the show, So but that was this one. My other one here. So this was for my anthology book. And this one actually, I put this as a reference to Mighty Mascots because it was one of the stories in the anthology. So if you like the Time Machine, Sherlock Holmes, Mighty Heroes, and I put the Big Bang Theory on this one because Hero Envy was another story in here, but it was often compared to Big Bang Theory. The other story in the anthology was me using public domain characters like the Time Machine and Sherlock Holmes. And then the third story was Mighty Mascots. But this book only ran for 2 issues. And then Mighty Mascots was picked up by Alterna. So I stopped using that. And then my final one was this. This was for a book called Kid Switch, which I want to get back to one of these days. I like the property a lot. It was like a teen superhero book, kind of like Ben 10 and Young Justice, So I put the visual logos because I think that helps catch somebody's eye as they're walking by. And so basically what you would do is, here you have the shelf, and then I would put this like right here on here, and then you would put, or even put it down here, and then you would put the books in front of it so that you have like the arrow pointing down, and you could do a whole row of all the books in the shelves here. So that's just one of those things that I think would be helpful. So that's why I mentioned it to you. When it clicked with me, and I think Johnny even tried it for a while with Surrounded by Death. He would do Mallrats and Mallrats and Walking Dead or something, and then his Sartana, he would do Western stuff, So, but yeah, take like I said, all these videos I'm putting out there is stuff that I've done or still do, and like I said in the previous 2 videos, take the info that works for you, and then discard what doesn't. That'll just help you sell comic books to readers that are looking for independent books. So. But that's it for this chapter of this video. I have more ideas on this subject, and I'll definitely come back with more of them, as we keep going on and doing these videos. So, but I thank you guys for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Subscribe, share it around to people that may get some benefit from these videos. Really appreciate it. And we will talk to you soon. Come back every other Wednesday. We do a live stream on Wednesday nights, and to check that out. We interview indie creators. So if you're an indie creator, I think you get a lot of benefit from the videos and from our live streams on this channel, because we do talk about a lot of stuff, a lot of things affecting indie creators and how they get through, and crowdfunding, all that fun stuff. So definitely check it out. So.
Let's go! Game not over.